Battlefield 2042, a game where some have never and will never touch it, others swear it's the pinnacle of the series, the best game you could ever find. Why is it so divisive, and why are people so black and white with this game? In 2016, Battlefield 1 was released. It took the series from a modern setting to a World War I setting. This was a welcome change, and DICE really did perfect this style. The game had an amazing 2 years of content and spanned 4 DLCs. In 2023, the game still sees a healthy player base on Steam. 5 continued with the World War style setting, and fans were starting to get a bit bored of this. To add insult to injury, the game had a rocky start with multiple performance issues and hackers. This left an impression on long-time fans that the series was beginning to die and that it needed something modern to bring back the core player base. 2042 was the answer to many's prayers. It was looking to be the exact thing everyone wanted. Something modern, something large scale. The trailer, as most Battlefield trailers go, was top-notch marketing. People couldn't get enough of it. The hype was building up. The trailer reviews flood in. Fans are pumped. They say Battlefield is back. The chaos of 128 player matches and the new map sizes seem like a dream combination. The Specialist, while seeming a bit controversial at first, do seem to bring a new flavour to the series, and the weather events appear to be more than just background noise. Portal was one of the highlights of the whole reveal. It was a marriage of the series into just one game mode, a love letter to Battlefield fans, as they coined it. The concept was just to bring all other Battlefield games into one. This was by far the most promising part of the reveal. Now, people were sceptical, which is to be expected with something as large as this, but it was just a waiting game. Part of the 2042 reveal was Hazard Zone. It was an extraction shooter mode that saw players drop into a small selection of base game maps and try to collect data drives while fending off from other players. Personally, I wasn't focused on this too much. It sounded like a good concept when revealed, but wasn't enough for me to care so much about it. However, when you peek under the hood, the criticisms start piling up. Long-time fans of the series were already expressing their disdain for the new direction, threatening to retreat to older games. As stated before, the Specialists were controversial. People were worried about the typical class system being removed, the weather seemed like a one-trick pony, and the maps were deemed too massive. The prospect of larger player matches triggered concerns about overcrowded maps. So, after the trailer period had ended, all eyes turned to the beta. Things were moving just a bit too fast. Let's go into third person view for this. We had a trailer that was amazing, as most Battlefield trailers go anyway. This one seemed to really appeal to many fans, me included. The beta as well was a bit too close to the release date, I thought anyway. So we all were a bit confused. This was all looking a bit too good to be true. And we were right. The delay was announced just a month before the game was meant to release. So, the delay happens, and eventually we get around to playing the beta. It starts on October 6th for pre-order access, and on the 8th for non-pre-orders. It both ends on the 9th. Being one of the hype buyers, I pre-ordered the game as soon as I could. I played both the closed and the open beta, and many people, including myself, realised that the game needs a lot more work done to it. The game had a lot of bugs and performance issues and didn't seem fit to be released even in that state, even knowing it was a beta. DICE responds to the feedback, claiming that the game is an older build and promises that the game, when it releases, will be more better and polished. Skepticism brewed, and the delay really didn't inspire much confidence in players' minds. After a long wait, finally, the game is available to play on November 19th, 2021. For pre-orders, you could play it November 12th. I was one of them. And for anyone who dived in on November 12th, it felt the same as the beta. The game still had the same performance issues, the same game crashes at certain times, and there was a lot of missing content, such as the scoreboard or a server browser. And people really were upset with this, and rightfully so. It's November 19th, and people finally get onto the game. And they see that server stability, performance, gameplay features and bugs are not there. They are abysmal. Reddit reports on their PC specs and sees that the game on average hardware is not hitting 60 FPS. DICE acknowledges the problems and the initial updates start tackling performance issues. However, the damage is done. Fixing the performance will take months of constant updates. No game in today's world is complete without noticeable bugs, glitches, and missing features. With 2042, it was mostly all of these things. Large amounts of features that should be in any FPS game are missing, most notably a scoreboard. The game didn't ship with voice chat, there were no small/close combat maps, server issues, input lag, and last but not least, hit registration issues. This is just a small list of the main features missing. There were plenty more I could have added. The bugs and glitches list contain under map glitches. The UI setting for on and off was confusing. No vehicle count. No friendly name tag. No damage indicator. A game so full of bugs, glitches and missing features, the subreddit made a thread about it, documenting all the known and reported bugs at that time. Going ahead to 1 year after release, the game was in an objectively better state than before, however it didn't come without its issues. After 7 long months of updates and bug fixes, we finally got the first season, 0 Hour. It was released in June 2022 and came with a mixed reception. Many felt it was a little too late and that the game had already died for them. Others felt that the things they added generally helped the game and made it feel a lot more new. In context to previous Battlefields, there has generally been 4 maps, multiple guns and new vehicles or gadgets that they add with each update. 2042 seemed to tip that concept and tradition on its head. The season itself added 1 map, and it also updated a previous base game map. It was a warm welcome, and they chose Kaleidoscope for that update. They gave it a war-torn, gritty overhaul to make it fit into the style of the game. With this announcement and subsequent update, they pledged to redesign all base game maps to play better and look more detailed. The season also added 4 new guns and 2 new helicopters, all made use of the new map. Overall, Season 1 was a step in the right direction, however the quantity of content was a deal breaker for most. DICE stated they want to focus on quality rather than quantity. They had good intentions with that, but what mattered in this case was both. I personally was happy for the season, and it saw me put plenty of hours in. However, I can see where most people didn't like the season due to the quantity. This season also lacked any Portal content. This was disappointing, as for most players they purchased the game just for that mode. Not to mention in any of the blogs or any YouTube videos, there was no mention of it. All we had to go off was the fact that they consistently said they were committed to supporting Portal. Personally, this was and still is my main issue. If they added more and more maps/eras, I'd consistently play, and it would bring new life to the game, yet they continued to disregard it. Season 2 released in August, just 2 months after the release of Season 1. This was much more appreciated as it was vastly different to the 7-month wait we already had. In Season 1, they released a development update to brief us on what they were working on and to tease what's next in the next season. Within that dev update, they showed us the rework of 2 new maps. DICE released a rework of 2 base game maps along with a new map for the season. All the map changes were praised and a nice change of pace for each. In addition to this, they added 2 new vault weapons. These were 2 guns from Portal implemented into All Out Warfare, or the main game. This, combined with the 3 guns they added in the season, gave us 5 new guns to choose from. Season 2 also added 2 new vehicles. Season 3 released just after the first year on November 22nd, 2022. This followed the same format as the previous seasons. We got another development update during Season 2. This outlined that in Season 3, DICE would put the specialists in a class system. This would see that all classes would give the player a boost if they use a specialist within that class. We received a rework of 1 base game map on the launch of Season 3, and later on within the season we received another rework, Breakaway. This was the largest map in Battlefield history, and it was changed for that reason. It was too large. The map was shrunken down noticeably, which made the gameplay feel a lot more fun and less tedious. Along with this, we received another map tied to the season. Season 3 added 2 new vault weapons and 4 of its own, bumping the amount of new guns in the update to 6. This meant that gunplay was drastically changed and felt less repetitive. Only 1 vehicle was added this season, a tank. This was to go along with the new map. After 1 year, the game was in a far more stable and better state than launch. However, during this time, Hazard Zone and Portal didn't develop past their launch state. This caused the player base to abandon it, meaning that trying to find a game for Hazard Zone mainly was much more difficult. Portal, on the other hand, has a server browser. This is because the game mode allows people to create their own game mode and customize the game settings. However, the developers said that All Out Warfare would not get a server browser. This was disappointing to me and most, if not all, the Battlefield community. Currently, it's November 12th, 2023, just 1 week away from the 2-year anniversary of this game. At the time of recording, I've put 178 hours since release, riding the highs and the lows. Despite a rocky start, the game has evolved into something great, and I've enjoyed every single hour I've played. Being my third most played game, I truly feel like every hour has been well spent. While the game was hard to love at launch, it definitely has grown into something that I would recommend to anyone who loves the FPS genre. Since Season 3, we've seen 3 more seasons added, surpassing our previously thought 4-season lifespan. All other existing base game maps were reworked and now play far better than launch. The inclusion of 3 maps from the newer seasons makes the gameplay more fun and less of what we had just 1 year ago. Releasing buggy games seems to be the norm, but it's time to push back. 2042 showcases how player endurance and feedback can shape a game for the better. DICE and EA did earn kudos for supporting the game even in its darkest of times. The players have enjoyed a bad product, and by regurgitating feedback, has allowed the game to grow and better itself each update. Now, after 2 years of gameplay, there were rumours of DICE supporting the game past Year 2, and the rumours were confirmed. They stated that they will be continuing Year 2 content. This came after Season 6 released, the game had a free period on Steam, and the game was consistently each day achieving 100k players. As we approach the Year 2 mark, the rumours hint at continued support for 2042. Weeks ago it got confirmed Year 2 content is in the works. It's not a playbook studios should adopt, releasing a beta and building a game later, but the level of post-launch support, that's worth emulating from DICE's playbook.